It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Idalia has landed Category 3. Scary, scary stuff. It did land north of Tampa. I've seen the video, and by the way, I mean, it's moving, but there's still a lot more. A lot of places very worried. I saw some video in Tallahassee, where Florida State is, and of course they're moving. They'll be playing in Orlando to open up the season against LSU in what is probably the game of the week this week. But what was interesting to me was the wind was so high. I watched as Gabe Gutierrez of NBC behind him had a billboard blown down. A billboard blown down. No, those guys are crazy that get out there in the middle of these weather things. Who's the guy from the Weather Channel?
Jim Cantori.
Jim Cantori is crazy. Certified nutso.
He's a veteran, Dave. Like, at a certain point in broadcasting, like, let somebody else do this, man. You got to go relax. Yeah, like, you made all this money. Relax, man.
How old is Jim?
I'll look it up.
Jim now. You're right. It's crazy stuff. Thoughts, prayers to everybody there. Category 3, I think.
He's 60 years old, Jim Cantori is, but he looks great.
And a Category 3 storm, by the way, is in that little bend. First of all, there'd never been, what do they call that, the Big Bend as part of the Panhandle to the state?
That's right.
They have never had a Category 3. Some thought it might land as a Category 4 because it was close, but it landed as a Category 3, which means 130 mile plus an hour winds. And then, of course, it diminishes as it goes in, but it's going to go through, still very powerful. The winds in Tallahassee were at least 40 miles an hour, I believe. And then it's going to go back into the eastern coast, and it could strengthen again. Who knows where it goes from there? I haven't seen any models on that. Crazy, crazy stuff. But thoughts and prayers with all of those near the Panhandle in Florida. We got so much we're doing today that we really can't talk much about a whole lot. We are going to attempt to just really, we're not going to go game by game, but we're going to give you SEC picks this morning, SEC West picks tomorrow. Friday, we will go game to game with the University of Memphis. Quick thoughts. U.S. Open last night, Venus Williams at 43, playing in her 24th U.S. Open. That's amazing. By the way, that was her 100th match. Problem is, she's got knee problems, and she's 43. She's only played like 10 matches all year. I would tell you, she's my favorite of the Williams sisters. I always liked her. I thought she was cool. She had a boyfriend that was a golfer. She came here for a FedEx St. Jude Classic. She was like any fan. I mean, I thought she was neat. She came when we used to have the old Memphis Classic at the Rec Club. She played in an exhibition before the women were involved. She came. She was terrific. Crazy about her. But she loses to a qualifier, 6'1", 6'1", who's 26 years old. Not a phenom by any means. 6'1", 6'1". I would have to say to this person that I really, really like, maybe it's time. I don't know why you're doing this. You don't need the money. 43 years old, bad knees, crazy for sure. And Carlos Alcaraz was up against a German who got injured like on the very first game, tried to gut it out, had to quit in the middle of the second set. But he's just so much fun to watch. I'm not sure. You know what? I loved watching Jimmy Connors and McEnroe. Those guys were really fun to watch. No doubt about it. Lendl was like a machine. No better server than Pete Sampras. Fellow Spaniard Rafael Nadal, really fun to watch. Federer might be my favorite of all time, but the most exciting guy, the most athletic guy to watch that I've seen, maybe ever, I can't think of anybody better, is Carlos Alcaraz. Who's what, 20?
Yeah, 20 years old. I could believe it, too. He's unbelievable, and he's the first person we've really seen in this new era of the Big Four tennis players that I think even has a legitimate chance to challenge him, and he's doing more than challenge him now. He's coming all the way there.
Here's what I love. I think we got 2 years of Joker still really good, and this guy going on because they've already had, like Cincinnati was an epic battle. Talking to a guy who loves tennis yesterday, he was saying to me that might have been the most entertaining tennis high quality that he's seen. We're going to get a couple of years of that until age finally robs Djokovic. But man, that dude works. I mean, he's in great shape. He's going to last, I'm telling you, another couple of years. This is going to be the next epic battle. Like the big three were Nadal, Federer, and Joker. Murray was in there for a little bit. This is it. This is these two guys until somebody else emerges. Somebody will. They always do. But really, really good stuff. Last night, near no-hitter. Did you see the save in the 8th inning that was made by the Giants center fielder?
I don't think I did.
Near no-hitter for Alex Cobb. In the bottom of the 8th, a guy makes a great diving catch in center field to save it. Then 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Cincinnati gets a hit. 2 outs. He was 1 out away, and it would have been a great catch, but it wasn't doable. But it was exciting. And Cubs-Milwaukee, great game. I don't know if you watched any of that. It was on TBS. You know, Ernie Johnson, he's just good at any sport as a studio host, isn't he? Yeah, we know. He, Charles, Kenny, Shaq, those guys, that's the best studio basketball show ever, right? Everybody agree?
Agree. I bet maybe sports studio show.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The old countdown to kickoff with Brett Musburger, Irv Cross, Jimmy the Greek. God, can't believe I can't remember the girl's name.
Jimmy the Greek, a Rare Simpsons cameo in one episode.
Yeah. Phyllis George. And that was the beginning of prominent studio stuff. And Brett Musburger kind of invented that. I love that. This is the best since then. I don't think anybody would dispute it. But Ernie does a great job on pre and post for baseball. He's done a little play-by-play. You know, his dad was the Atlanta Braves announcer for years, so he grew up baseball.
And he pitched for the Braves, too, didn't he? Or was it his grandfather that pitched for the Braves?
Who, his father or his grandfather?
I thought his father pitched for the Braves,
I think his father did.
Yeah.
And
he grew up around baseball.
So he grew up around baseball. I don't think he's a great athlete by any means. I saw him. He was involved in golf somehow, where you saw a swing. He's got a nice swing, by the way. Certainly better than Charles Barkley's. But the interesting thing is the wind was blowing in. We talk about Wrigley Field being a home run hitter.
He played baseball at Georgia, Ernie Johnson did.
At Georgia?
At Georgia.
Okay.
How about that?
Well, that's good. Good to know. He's got it in his genes, right?
He
Grandfather
does.
and father. Anyway, so last night the wind was blowing in at Wrigley Field. Milwaukee hit in the last 2 innings 2 or 3 hits that would have been out of the ballpark any other night. Not this time. Wind kept blowing, and it was a big wind. It blew little pop-ups down the right field line into the stands. I mean, it was amazing for both teams. Cubs could have scored a lot more. Cubs win a 1-0 game against Milwaukee, but it was really a tremendous game. Nobody, you know this guy Steele? The Cubs starting pitcher?
Justin Steele.
15 wins now. Mm-hmm. Nobody thought anything of this guy coming into the year. It's a good story. Cubs, Brewers, the National League Central has gotten, you throw Cincinnati into the mix, it's really become a decent division to watch here. Down the stretch we go. One last quick note. We make SEC East picks, and then we're going to bring in our friend to talk about the business of sports every Wednesday at about 10:15. The big cheese, the head honcho of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Steve Earhart, is going to join us. Money is crazy in golf now. Do you know how much money Xander Schauffele made this year?
No telling. I don't know.
I will tell you in a minute. Do you know how many wins Xander Schauffele had this year?
1.
0.
Xander
Schauffele, who I'm crazy about. Maybe the best player not to win a major at this point. Xander Schauffele won 0 tournaments. He made, J-Mo, what did you just say?
$14 million.
You are so close. $15 million. Now, the money winner, which we thought was going to end up being Scheffler, because he can't putt, he was surpassed. He was surpassed by Victor Hovland. Do you know he won 3 tournaments? Okay? Sometimes it's the way you pick your tournaments, and obviously the $18 million ending tournament helps a lot. But do you know the final tally on Victor Hovland?
I'm going to guess it was he made 15 the last one. I'm going to say 21.
He made $32 million.
Wow.
He won Jack's tournament. That was a designated tournament, 3.6. He won the last two tournaments, and in that alone, he made, it was
18, right?
No, it was 21.6.
21.
21.6. So that's from those tournaments, that would be $24.2 million right there, and then he won another $8 million along the way in all the top finishes that he had. $32 million. I think that's the most yet by anybody, and that's just where we're going to see golf. Golf now is a huge money-making proposition for the guys that are in the top 100. Every year they're going to make millions. There's just no way around it. So my advice to you is put a golf club in a young kid's hands. That's all. That's all I'll say on that. All right, let's do SEC East really very quickly. I'm going to let you know, I think Florida's going to have a tough year. I think they're going to be 4-8 and 2-6 in the league. I think Georgia is going to be 11-1 and 1 loss. I don't have anybody running the table because the SEC is too good. But Georgia's going to win the Eastern Division with a 7-1 mark. I think Kentucky's going to be 500 in the league and 7-5 overall. Missouri, tough year, 4-8, 1-7 in the league. South Carolina, I think a good year, 7-5, 5-3. Although I think they lose this weekend to North Carolina. Tennessee, a great year, 10-2, but 5-3, second in the conference. And I have Andy just missing. And had they played better against Hawaii, I might have changed my mind. I've got them 5-7, but I do have them winning 2 league games.
You're more optimistic than I am in that regard. I've got Florida 4-8, just like you. I was surprised to see us both with being so down on Florida there. Georgia 11-1. Kentucky, I've got going 7-5 this year.
Yeah, just like me.
I go down to Missouri 5-7. That's a little bit of a step down. South Carolina, I'm a little bit optimistic, 7-5. Tennessee, I'm running the table, 12-0.
Wow.
And then Vanderbilt
running the table and beating Georgia.
I do. I think to beat Georgia.
Wow.
And my last one is Vanderbilt. I have them going 3-9. Essentially, exactly like what you said. I was so unhappy with what I saw on Saturday. I had to move them down a little bit.
You know, it's funny. I actually have Tennessee beating Georgia in Knoxville, second to last game.
Losing to Bama?
I've beaten Bama.
Oh, really?
I have Tennessee losing to
Yeah,
Bama.
that's what I mean. Tennessee losing to Bama.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I have them 10-2. I think Georgia's going to win the division, but they're going to end up they'll have 2 losses. Or actually, I have them with 2 losses. So, that's our SEC East picks. I'm going to hold you accountable for these because we never hold anybody accountable for this stuff. We'll be talking a little bit later with our friend Brett Norsworthy on the SEC. Jason Munz will join us, but we've got Steve Arrett coming your way in a minute right here in the Family Leisure Studio. A reminder, you got 2 more days for that summer clearance sale. I know a fall sale's coming. They still would love for you these last 2 days to clear the inventory so they can bring in the fall stuff. Do-it-yourself pools $1,000 off. There are some 24-foot round pools less than $2,000. Do the math. You can steal one of these things. Select play gyms under $1,900. Patio furniture 30% off. 24 months, same as cash financing. It's now available in this summer clearance sale at I-40 and Whidden Road, where family and fun come together. Family Leisure. And this hour presented by our good friends, Chris True, all the crew that's been together for 20 years at Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Craft Road, first exit in Mississippi, off Highway 78, which is Lamar. Turn left there. By the way, they've got that highway really moving now. You get there in 10 minutes. That's how quickly you will get there. I'm going to pass by that today. And I know I'm going to see a full lot because they've got plenty of inventory. Pre-owned cars, those numbers are down and they're affordable. New cars, a little more pricey, but they've got plenty on the lot. You can't get a better product than Hyundai. You can't do business with a better organization. That's why their customer retention is so good at the good folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai. We go cross town. Our friend, the Big Cheese, the head honcho of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Steve Earhart, joins us. He will join us every Wednesday in this time slot to talk about the business of sports, the business of bowls. And, Steve, we seem to have a big battle on our hands right now about money. The mayor of the city of Memphis was able to secure from the state of Tennessee $350 million to update and make better our stadiums, or even build a soccer stadium, which if you don't, you might lose your USL championship franchise. It appears now the Grizzlies might want all the money. Memphis took a big step ahead, and they want to start and get their share of that state money. The mayor seems to be in the middle of all of this. Your position as a guy who's watched the business of sports here and who runs the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in that Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, what is your sense of all of this? Good morning.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, and look forward to keeping up with college football and the AutoZone Liberty Bowl all fall. But my understanding is when the state legislature was considering giving, hundreds of millions of dollars to replace a pretty good, solid stadium in Nashville, the Titans Stadium. The Titans were building basically a brand new stadium there for the Titans, and so the state was allocating a lot of money for that. So they were looking at Memphis, and of course, with the Memphis constituency of legislators, said, "Wait a minute, Memphis has got an antiquated, still great sight lines at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, but it is a 60-year-old stadium and needs a lot of upgrading, so to speak." And so the idea was that the legislature, on the push coming from Mayor Strickland and his team through the state legislators, was that they allocated the $350 million for two facilities: one, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, and two, for the revamping of the FedEx Forum. And so originally, I think, again, my understanding was it was going to be kind of split between those two, and then, later they introduced the idea, as you said, of maybe there would be enough money for a soccer stadium and some inclusion there of AutoZone Park for some smaller upgrades there at AutoZone Park. So now the stadium, the football stadium, all the planning has been done. The architects have been working for several months. Populous, the big-time firm out of Kansas City, as well as some local firms, have done all the planning. They've bid out most of the improvements, and so they're ready to go, and they were going to start immediately after our game on December 29th. And I think that still is the plan, because the stadium structure is ready to go and the planning has been done. But on the other side of the coin, the Grizzlies, again, my understanding is that they still have not yet formalized exactly what they want to do. I've heard various situations where they want to, reconfigure the entire lower bowl, and so I think they're looking for a significant amount of money. Now, they have some other funding sources besides this allocation from the state, such as some TDZ and hotel motel and some various other funding, the ability to bond some money. So, yes, I think there is kind of sorting out, if that's the right word. I think some of the media has portrayed it as a battle. I think it's more sorting out what exactly do the Grizzlies want and how are they going to get there. And the stadium is well down the road. We know what we want there in the stadium. They've done a lot of surveys and information. The architects have been down here on numerous times, so that is ready to go. So, again, my understanding, the legislature made sure that they wanted to make it possible for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Simmons Bank, I got to get used to calling it Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, to get the upgrades that it needs. Now, again, the bones are in pretty good shape there, and as all our fans that go to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl and the University of Memphis know, that it's a great place to watch games because the sight lines are so close to the field. But there is a need. It's a 60-year-old stadium, and whereas the FedEx Forum is a relatively new stadium and is in pretty doggone good shape, but I know the Grizzlies are looking for some major improvements.
Well, if you listen to various talk shows around the city, if you read the newspapers, you would get this sense that if you don't kowtow to Robert Pera and the Grizzlies, that you're putting in jeopardy their ability to stay in Memphis. In other words, they've got all the leverage. So here's what I say to that, and I'd love your take because you are a former owner of the Memphis Grizzlies. You were part of that minority group. Where are they going? First of all, the owners, they're not going to let Robert Perro move to Vegas. They're not going to let him move to Seattle because they want the expansion money. So where are they going to move? That's one. Two, last I heard, you would know, you've seen the contracts. The local partnership group has the right to answer any offer that Perro might get. He can't just move the team, and if he tried to sell the team, they get the right to do it. So is that a little overblown? And isn't Perro a little greedy here in trying to get all of the money instead of sharing some of that money? If you look at the Titans, who got a lot of money from the state of Tennessee, to redo their stadium, I believe the Adams family put up some money. Perro, who's worth $10.6 billion, hasn't put up a penny.
Well, I would say this, David. I think the statements that you made are factual. For a team in the NBA to move and relocate now, I believe it takes a 3/4 vote of all the owners, and you hit it right on the head. The explosion of the values of these NBA teams. Years ago, they weren't that valuable and there wasn't that big a deal, but, some people in the NBA are talking about expansion teams in either Seattle or Las Vegas, which are the two most mentioned teams, could draw somewhere between $2.5 and $3 billion as a price, and therefore you split that up 30 some ways. That's several $100 million in each of the owners' pockets.
Well, no, do it twice because you're going to expand twice. So you're talking
Okay.
$6 billion by 30 teams, right?
I think you're doing the math right. It's too big of numbers for me to do, but you're right. When you say how many of those owners are going to really vote to say, okay, let's let one of our existing teams, whether it's Memphis or any other team, move in and take the assets that they all feel that they're going to get 1/30 of $6 billion. So I think what you said is exactly accurate.
I want to say that's $200 million a team. They're not.
You're probably doing the math right there.
They're not giving up $200 million, right? So they're not moving.
And you're right. The local group does have the right to match any deal if they were going to move. So, and there's no question that every whether it's an NFL team or an NBA team, they're always pushing their cities for more and better, upgrades of their facilities. But that's kind of the name of the game in professional sports. So what you say is accurate, and I think when it all ends up getting sorted out, that there'll be, some kind of a rational, division between the $350 million of state money. And I think the plan, and I give a lot of credit to the University of Memphis, they've worked hard and put together a good plan, and I think it's in that $150 to $200 million range there, and to get the Simmons Liberty Bell Stadium into a really terrific position. And I think the drawings that everybody has shown, the architectural renderings, and that's kind of where there's a little bit of a slowdown here, is because the Grizzlies have not done that. It's my understanding they have not done. I think they have an idea that they've talked about, but they haven't had architects and contractors, drawing plans and bidding on exactly what they want to do. Hopefully that's going to get straightened out.
The longer you wait, the more money it will cost. And you can't delay much longer if you really want to get this stadium done for the money they're going to get. We understand all of that. Steve Earhart, next week, I wanted to touch on it, but time is short. We'll talk a little bit about the review of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl with their partners and TV. And then I want to talk about the future of bowls versus the playoffs and get your take on all of that. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, David, and we look forward to a great football weekend. A lot of games coming your way, filled up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even a Sunday game this weekend. So
that's
college football is back in a big way.
Yep, no doubt. Thank you, David. Steve Earhart from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl is brought to you by Grind City Brewing, that wonderful taste of Memphis. Have you ever had what the doctor ordered, that Poppy's Pills, the Pilsner? Whew, man, it's a beer so smooth and crushable, it cures whatever ails you. There's the Pale Ale. That's a terrific, really unique, in my mind, the way the taste is. That's the God Hopper. There's the new lager, the amber lager called Thaddeus. There's the Blue Moonish kind of Belgian-style wheat ale beer called the Belga. There's so many good things. And if you've never been to the facilities, the beautiful brewery and the grounds that are around it, taking a really good look at the Mississippi Bridge, oh my gosh, you will love it. Go check it out, Grind City Brewing. We take a break when we come back. I don't know if he's going to be in studio. He's stuck somewhere in traffic, close, but no cigar. Brett Norsworthy, his first appearance for the year, all the way through the Final Four.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey folks, Dominic Cooney here for Sunrise Buick GMC. Are you looking for a hot deal on your next car? Come on out to the Sunrise Super Summer Sale going on at all 3 locations. Sunrise offers a great selection of new Buicks and GMCs discounted up to $6,500 and a $12 million used car inventory. That's why Sunrise is the place to go if you're looking for a hot deal. Bad credit, slow pay? That's okay. Here at Sunrise, we specialize in secondary financing used cars below $10,000. Visit us online at sunrisememphis.com or in person any of our 3 locations, Coving, Pike, Wolf Chase, and Coyville.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything. A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Always fun to talk SEC and Ole Miss and football and maybe even stadium money with my good friend that you listen to every afternoon from 3 to 6. That would be Brett Norsworthy, his first appearance this year. In a second, he's brought to you in part by Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, always the latest when it comes to new technology. You can save up to $300 on a new energy-efficient tank or even the tankless water heater if you go to Conway. Upgrade the old. Get rid of that old inefficient water heater. Get a new energy-efficient model, or better yet, the tankless, where you only heat the water you need. And by the way, you never run out. Go to conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions, or call them at 384-3511. The best laid plans of mice and men, they often go astray. Brett Norsworthy, how close are you to this station to do this in person where I could see your smiling face?
Normal driving time, 50 seconds. Today, not so much.
Wow. That's troubling. It's right at 385. Give us a little traffic update.
It's a mess, as always, because nothing works because everybody drives like fools, and there's wrecks everywhere.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you. That is.
Where's the police? Where's
sure.
the Shelby County deputies? Where's any enforcement of speeding laws? They're nowhere.
All right. I know you're frustrated, that's for sure. Can't blame you one bit. But I know you delivered a home run grand slam of a performance pinnacle bank. You do this every year where you speak and you lay it all out. How'd it go? What was the first thing you said?
Well, and Rob Fisher with me, and it was a lot of fun. Always is. It was a fun night. We make a lot of predictions. It's W's and L's and prediction time of year. And in the SEC, I've got Tennessee winning the East by virtue of their home win at Neyland November 18th over Georgia. Tennessee will lose the regular season game against Alabama at Bryant-Denny. Bama loses one game in the regular season at College Station. That'd be back-to-back losses for Nick Saban to Jimbo Fisher at College Station, if I'm right. So Alabama and Tennessee meet in the SEC championship game, and in the final year of divisions, it'll be the first time Bama and Tennessee that they've rematched, and in the rematch, Tennessee gets revenge. They beat Alabama on the first Saturday in December, and they go into the playoffs as the 2 seed. 1 seed Michigan, 2 seed Tennessee, 3 seed will be Georgia, and 4 seed will be Ohio State. Michigan, Ohio State play in the Rose Bowl. Tennessee and Georgia play in the Sugar Bowl. 2 from the Big Ten, 2 from the SEC. And in the finals, Georgia beats Ohio State for the 3 feet when they get revenge over Tennessee in the Sugar Bowl.
Wow. You are going out there, that is for sure. If Tennessee were to make the playoff and to win the East, would that be Heupel would be Coach of the Year. Would that be a much more accelerated turnaround of a program than anybody could have anticipated?
It's a phenomenal job, and it's twofold. Don't forget who hired him. Danny White coming in from Central Florida, and I know Danny well from his years as a lieutenant at Ole Miss for Pete Boone, and they got it right. Tennessee's finally got their collective stuff together, and it shows. Football, basketball, baseball, spring sports, women's sports, Olympic sports, non-revenue producing sports. Tennessee's getting it done. Danny White's doing a great job.
Yeah, he is. You know, I was looking, I think it was The Athletic that came out with their basketball preview, and they've got Tennessee in the top 10, so that would be another feather in his cap. I believe he was the guy that brought Rick Barnes, isn't he?
It is, but we also know with Rick Barnes, there's no coach like Rick Barnes until he gets in the tournament, and then second round Rick always gets bounced.
Ooh, that has been the case. So how do you have Ole Miss, the team that you will be doing the pregame show for the next, let's at least 13 weeks, maybe 14, who knows?
Ole Miss, a lot like a lot of teams, they're in that next grouping after the super elite in the SEC. They're in there with Mississippi State and Arkansas and South Carolina and Mizzou. You maybe even could argue that Auburn's in that grouping this year. And a lot of those teams, they could go anywhere from 6-6 to 9-3. Ole Miss could replicate 2 years ago, but they don't have quite the quarterback that had 2 years ago in Matt Corral. If somebody's going to kind of do the Ole Miss 2021 and win 10 regular season games, I think it can be Arkansas with that veteran quarterback KJ Jefferson. And the Ole Miss schedule, I just think it's too difficult to get into anything approaching 9 or 10 wins. The Vegas over and under on Ole Miss is 7.5, and I think it'll be around that. We're going to do picks Friday, but I'm going to pick 7 and 5.
It's interesting. You mentioned the quarterbacks. Bear Bryant used to say, I think it was him, you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any quarterback. And Lane Kiffin has yet to name his starting quarterback. Dart, Sanders, which one do you think ends up getting that gig?
It's going to be Jackson Dart, but Spencer Sanders is going to play a lot. And when Coach Bryant said that, you got to remember, he said that in the days of playing 10 regular season games and the season not starting until the third Saturday in September. You're now playing all these games. You better have something more than just capable as a backup if you want to have a great year. And not many people can afford the luxury of that. And now these players know, if I can play, there's no need in me being a backup. I can go somewhere and play.
Now, I've heard with your Memphis picks, you are bullish on the Tigers.
I'm 9-3 on the Tigers, and you could debate the 3 losses. My 3 losses are to Tulane, to UAB, and to I got them beaten. Boys, I don't have the schedule in front of me.
So Missouri,
I have 3 Mizzou at the not so neutral at Mizzou. All 3 of those could be wins, and then something else could be a loss we don't see. They don't play East Carolina. They don't play UTSA. I think the top of the American is really, really good, but bottom up, it's not very good.
Yeah, like Charlotte. That's Rice. Those are some bottom feeders for sure. I'm curious about UAB because that'll be a game on the road. I can't wait to see that stadium. Everybody raves about it, at least the press box. The thing where I know you asked me about a 10th win because I don't have them losing to UAB, but I do. I wonder about Tulane. Because if you go back and look, Tulane and Memphis hasn't lost to Tulane in a long time. They can't beat them down there in that new building, which Ole Miss will be playing in, by the way. Good luck with that press box. But Memphis handles them here. That's going to be a great game to watch.
Yeah, I have Joe Milton win the Heisman Trophy as well from Tennessee.
Oh, you do? So you've got Joe Milton learning how to read defenses. I understand the word from the Manning camp was the guy's got a rocket of an arm, but he's really got to learn how to read defenses. And
I know last year when he got in, he had 10 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions.
That's true.
I think he's getting a lot better coaching from Josh Heupel than he got at Michigan.
Well, in the beginning, he lost the job at Michigan, and he also lost the job at Tennessee until there was the injury. So we'll see.
That's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years is a long time.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing is we are going to watch all of this play out. I just had Steve Earhart on. We were talking about the, I guess, dilemma, you could say, as to what the heck is going to happen between the Grizzlies and the Tigers and the money for stadiums. Any thoughts?
Yeah, the Grizzlies are going to get everything they want because we can't afford. We can't even get approaching. I can't even believe it's being discussed as much as it is. Even the remote possibility of maybe the Grizzlies leaving or the Grizzlies being discontented or Para being discontented. And when people compare it to the Titans, you got to remember the Titans were issued bonds. They're going to pay every bit of that back. This is a subsidy. This is one lump chunk of cash for Memphis, and the Grizzlies, they're going to get it all. They're going to spend it all, and I think it's been a good bet through the years. And the Tigers get the benefit of that as well as they share FedEx Forum. I want the stadium to get the football stadium to get money, but I don't see how in the world you can spend a dime of public money on AutoZone Park or on the soccer.
I think the soccer's going to end up being the big loser, no question about it. I don't know what will happen with AutoZone Park. I just was there for the soccer. It's not in any form of disarray. It could be spruced up a little bit. They did some nice things this past offseason. They finally fixed that scoreboard. But there is no doubt.
Have you been in the bathrooms on the concourse level?
No, I have
either
not.
First base or third base?
No, sir.
Well, go. It's utter pigsty.
That's sad, and local management should to clean up a bathroom doesn't cost a lot of money.
But local management there is really poor.
It has. It's certainly not. How many years later, whatever it is, it's certainly not in the shape it was when it first opened and was under different management.
It's not in the shape it was in 2018.
You would know because you go to more games there, I think, than any human being, except for maybe John Ganazzo.
I've been to 20 this year, and it's a pigsty, and it shows it.
All right, I'm looking forward to our chats, our discussions all year long, all the way through the Final Four.
All
we
year,
appreciate
I'm ready.
it. Yeah, I know you are.
And I'm in the driveway.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I'll see your face in just a minute. We got to take a break. Thank you, Brett. We appreciate it. Brett Norsworthy, brought to you in part by Dinstall's. And I got some news today from Becky. Becky Dinstall lets me know because of the loyal customers they have requesting it. They are dipping strawberries for one last time. That's today for 2023. So you have your last chance until Valentine's Day. This weekend, usually it's over, but she's going to do one football weekend for all of you. Get them while you can. By the way, last week for the Summer Sizzler special, just in time for Labor Day weekend, my favorite, Cashew Crunch. Between those two, those are really unique tastes of Memphis that all comes from Dinstall's. And they got exciting news. They have remodeled Laurelwood. It's right on schedule, so you'll need to get your Dinstall's sweet treats at Germantown, Collierville, Pleasant View, or downtown for just the next few days. The reveal is planned for September the 7th when they launch the caramel apple season. So you're getting caramel apples at a whole new look in Laurelwood. Wow. Stay tuned for updates. Man, I love me some Dinstall's. I love talking to Jason Munz, and he comes your way in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
All 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte PE 659,993, MSRP 22,540, Nero P 501,5237, MSRP 41,390, EV6 P 560,3393, MSRP 50,200, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for details, offer valid through 9/5/23. Dealer stock only, warranties are limited, powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
I got Jeff Allen on the line. Hey, what's the scoop over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
Randy, we got deals everyone wants. How about 41 MPG Highway, 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $249 a month, $29.99 due at signing.
Hey, Jeff, give me some EV scoop.
2023 Nero EV Win, 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $292 a month. And a 2023 Kia EV6 Win with up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGE. Only $425 a month, both $49.99 due at signing, all 36-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty to boot.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Nothing says summer like an ice-cold Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, refreshing, real brewed tea with 5% alcohol. Look for Twisted Tea in the bright yellow cans. Keep it twisted!
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Normally, we chat with our friend Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal every Monday, and we've always enjoyed those conversations, but he had to let me know on Sunday, we got a big press conference coming up with the president of the university, with the athletic director of the university, so we moved him to this spot for just today, and let me get your take on President Hargrave and on Laird Veach's message to all of Memphis. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it was. I don't know that it was like on the surface like an earth-shattering, huge, big breaking news press conference or anything. But anytime the University of Memphis's president is going to invite the media to to talk about conference realignment and stadium stuff. We're gonna drop everything and go hear what he has to say. And you know, like they were, you know, they said a lot of different things about conference realignment and the stadium renovations. But to me, the biggest takeaway, there were a couple of really big takeaway nuggets that you know. You pull out of there and you realize they were you know, pretty big deals. I mean, they're obviously trying to get the ball rolling on the on the funding allocation for the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium renovations. I mean, they it's been April. It was April. It's almost September. Going to be September this weekend.
Half a year.
Yeah, like it's been April since since everybody has known that the money is now coming, and yet we still don't have any allocation of those funds. And you know, Memphis has made it very, very clear since May of 2022, so more than a year ago. Everybody was on the same page. Mayor Jim Strickland was at the same press conference with Bill Hargrave and Laird Veach. I don't know if Bill was there yet. No, he wasn't. But it was Laird Veach and Jim Strickland who sat down together and told the media that they wanted the stadium renovations to start after the 2023 season, this upcoming football season. So everybody's been on the same page for more than a year about the timing of this, and yet there still isn't any funding that's been allocated. You know, Memphis doesn't know how much money they're going to get from the money that the state has approved, and it's getting close to time that needs to happen. And so that's, you know, that was the biggest takeaway from that press conference.
I guess it was to put some pressure on the Grizzlies to get their act together. That means Robert Pera. That means Jason Wexler. If you're going to ask for the money, and then honestly, I think Jim Strickland's going to have a decision to make. I think we all pretty much agree that the Grizzlies, or I do. I'll just say for me, the Grizzlies you can't put that in jeopardy. I don't think they're going to go anywhere for reasons I stated earlier. Between the local ownership having the right of first refusal, and the fact that the two main cities that the NBA is thinking about adding teams in, they're not going to let Memphis move there if it was Vegas or Seattle, because they want $6 billion worth of expansion money. So that's not going to happen. But I wouldn't argue that the Grizzlies should get money. They should get the bulk of the money. I just don't think they should get all of the money, and I think Robert Pera, worth $10.6 billion, should put up some money.
I think those are all valid points. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody here is discounting the fact that, as you said, the Grizzlies are extremely important to the city and probably should get the majority of the money that has been, that they're talking about having in hand and dedicating to these projects. But, very clearly there is something that is holding up the allocation process, and it's time for action. It's time for allocation, and Jim. I think Jim Strickland is kind of in a tough spot here, but at the same time, he's the mayor, and he's somebody's got to do something, and I think that's him.
Were you surprised the university came out and fired this salvo? Because I think we were all expecting this to be more along a sales pitch of conference expansion's not over. Please, folks, don't throw in the towel. We need your support.
A little bit. I think they do kind of go hand in hand, though. I mean, like the whole basis of the state, including Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium in the, in their budget, was to help Memphis, the University of Memphis, get into a better conference, to better position itself in the conference realignment landscape. And so I think, there might be some fear potentially, even though Laird Veach said there isn't. He's not concerned that Memphis is going to get shut out completely when it comes to getting money for stadium renovations from that pot of money that the state is giving to the city of Memphis. He says they're not worried that they won't get any, but I do kind of feel like they maybe in the back of their minds think that's anyway. The point is they need the money so that they can continue to have a shred of hope of getting out of the American Conference. And that's why I say I think the two sort of go hand in hand. The stadium renovation stuff and the conference realignment stuff.
Moving to hoops, were you surprised Penny took back Malco?
No, nope. I mean, I would say if you had asked me that question, if this had happened 2 months ago, and 2 months ago Malcolm announced that he was coming back, I'd have been surprised then. But even then, it would have been a mild surprise. I mean, if we learned, if we've learned it, I just was of the opinion going into this whole thing, talking about Malcolm Dandridge, I was not convinced. It was one of those things I'll have to see it to believe it. I'm not going to say he's 100% gone until he's 100% gone, and he was never 100% gone. He was always just in the transfer portal. So no, I was, and then as time went on, it became clearer and clearer that both sides were open to a reunion, air quotes reunion, and here we are. So no, I was not surprised.
What about DeAndre Williams? Does that make you think that they brought Malcolm back at this point, that maybe DeAndre's not going to get in with eligibility with the NCAA, as most of us have sort of expected? Personally, I've purposefully avoided expectations with DeAndre. Now, let me make it clear. I don't think that taking Malcolm back has anything to do with DeAndre Williams. I think they're two totally independent things of each other. As a matter of fact, there was a time where I was told that DeAndre, if he was going to entertain, this was long ago. This was before they got Jordan Brown, before they got, it was before they got Jordan Brown for sure. I was told that DeAndre was advocating for Malcolm to come back. I don't think that the two, because Malcolm is back, that's an indication of how they feel about DeAndre. But no, I've on purpose I have kept away from expectations with DeAndre. I mean, we're still in a wait and see mode, but it's just, to me, it's not going to be a surprise if he gets it, and it's not going to be a surprise if he doesn't get it. I mean, I know it's hard. I know it's difficult for people to avoid getting their hopes up and things like that. But, again, we don't know anything. We're still waiting. NCAA hasn't said anything. But at the same time, it's almost September, and, the team started practicing yesterday. And, of course, you want DeAndre back if you have a choice of having him back or not. But I would hope that people aren't crestfallen if he doesn't get that extra year. Not saying that he won't, but who knows with the NCAA? No doubt. And Mikey Williams, I'm confused about him. Everybody seems to think, watching Instagram, that he's in Memphis. He's bought a house in Memphis. And yet he's got a trial date in September in San Diego. Yeah.
Less than a week. Yeah, a week from yesterday. I don't think he's in. In fact, I know he's not in Memphis right now. I don't, of course I can't say for sure one way or the other if he has bought a house or whatever. I mean, I know that he's posting things on Instagram that make it very much look like he has some sort of residence in the city of Memphis. But I've maintained this from the beginning. As long as he's got these legal things going on, he's not going to be a part of the team. I would be shocked and frankly appalled if he was part of the team with these legal things hanging over his head. And I've talked to some people in San Diego, some media members in San Diego who've been following the story very closely, who just up until I talked to him just very recently, and there's no indication of any sort of charges being dropped or a plea deal being brokered. Everybody is under the assumption that the preliminary hearing is going to be held as scheduled on September 5th. And so, I'm very, very, I don't think Mikey is going to be on the team this year, but that's just me.
No, I have no idea, but I don't see how, when that thing is scheduled after classes have already begun and no plea deal is done, as you're saying, I don't see how it happens either, but who knows? You never know. In all of this, it'll give us something more to chew on Monday when we talk to you next. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Wolo.
That is our man from the Commercial Appeal. That is Jason Munz. He's brought to you by Memphis Public Golf. Got a nice thing from the folks at Pine Hill yesterday. That place is in unbelievable shape. I've gone by Audubon. That place is in unbelievable growing mode. And you heard Mickey Barker tell us the other day, they're not going to open until next summer. They're going to make sure it's perfect. It's going to be an unbelievable gem. I like to drive by it just to see it's amazing how they've changed the land and growing the grass. It's really outstanding. And, they understand in the city, golf's an amenity. They've really gone a long way to do it, and they try to make it easy for you with new technology. If you want to book a tee time, find out more about tournaments like, I think, 4-ball championships coming up at Pine Hill and Fox Meadows. Senior men's division's got 36 holes coming up. You can find out more just by going online, memphispubliclinks.com. That's the best way, by the way, to get a tee time. memphispubliclinks.com. There's better play every day on the Memphis Public Links. That does it for us. Johnny Radio is next. Tomorrow we'll make SEC West picks. We've got Russell. We've got Jarvo. Big day, but you got Johnny next.
Homer Skelton Hyundai,